Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with KeKe, Life, Love, and all that other shit. I am your host, KeKe Chanel, award-winning author, lifestyle blogger, and certified life coach. The overall theme of Kicking It with KeKe is all about mindset and personal development. When we operate as our highest self, we go through life more abundantly. We are in season 6. Each episode keeps getting better and better and better, and I have a special guest with you guys today for you guys today, with me today, but for you guys today. Y'all know how I like to do. I like to give my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves. So I'm going to turn it over to her. So, Tina, I don't know what you want me to call you. So, I know you as
Right.
Tina now. Like,
Yeah,
for
so either way, we're good. I am Tina Captivator Wilson. A lot of people know me as Cap or Captivator, also as the Concerned Human. I am just a person, I like to say, following life, collecting puzzle pieces, and just making it interesting. So a concerned human in itself is just someone who likes to help as well as offer help in general. So that's me.
and you jumping the gun because I sure was about to ask you to explain what a concerned human entails or looks like, and we'll get more into that. But before
Yeah.
we get into everything, talking about your your new project, and I'll let you tell them about it. I always have to ask the questions about mindset and personal development because that is the overall theme for Kicking It with KeKe. So when it comes to mindset, how do you believe that it plays a big part in how you see yourself, how you see others, and how you just behave in life in general?
I believe in your self-aware, whether it's just being aware, doing self-work, either way. It makes you conscious in your actions, your reactions, kind of how you approach different situations. So I think it's very important just in general to be self-aware, and it's self-aware in the positive and the negative. Know your good things, your good qualities, but also know your triggers and things that are going to set you off so that you don't, purposely and intentionally put yourself in those situations that's going to shift your moves or shift who you are as a person and your kind of core values that you live by.
Absolutely. And I always like to get into the debate because a lot of people don't believe that you can have a bad mindset. Let's talk about that a little bit. How mindsets can be positive and negative. How do you know that, hey, I'm not in a good headspace? Let me check my mindset to see if I'm being negative or if I'm being positive. So let's talk about that, the difference between a negative and a positive mindset.
I definitely think that that is very, evident in regards to the people that you have seen done a lot of self work. When you do that self work, you can kind of tell the difference between the negative and the positive. You can tell the difference when you're, in a good mood, when you're in a good headspace, when you're feeding positive energy into a situation or into a room, or even your reactions or how you're responding to a question or a statement. You hear those people that kind of have the sly remarks or the sly comments or just have to put their 2 cents in sometimes
Mm.
all the time. So, those people are not necessarily that I found in those good headspaces, but they don't recognize it. They just realize they're in a room, they're not happy, they're not having fun, they're not around like minded people, or they're not around people that they just care for in general, and not realizing what got them to that space or got them to that room. They're not able to recognize, okay, wait, maybe I have put myself in a negative mind frame or negative space intentionally because I chose to walk into this situation type thing. So if you're kind of self-aware of who you are and how you react and done that self-work, then I think when you walk into a situation, you're able to kind of recognize, wait a minute, these people's actions, reactions, movements are not going to be conducive to keeping me in this, kind of positive vibe that I've been in before I walked in the room. So I definitely think that you can have that bad mind frame and not even necessarily know that you put yourself into it. Definitely.
Yep. Listen, because it happens. It happens. Have you ever walked into a room and you was feeling all good and stuff, and then one particular person came in and it shifted, not for the better, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like, dang, it's like a drain, and you can get sucked into that if you're not self-aware to understand, hey, so let me move around from this person, or even if they having a bad day, let me try to help bring them out of that. Because some people just need a little push.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
no, definitely. I like to live by just a personal motto in general. Don't allow negative moods of others to influence your frame of mind, because it can. Everyone has walked in and they ask, okay, who's going to be at this event? Who's going to be at this party? Who's going to be this? Because they know those certain people that can walk in and literally suck the energy out of the room. And I definitely try to strive to make sure that I'm not one of those people that I'm entering. But that's part of that kind of like question we just touched on, knowing what your triggers are and what you're capable of. When you walk into those rooms, you can stay in those positive, vibes, those positive moves, and not be able to do that. But you have the people that definitely do, and it's
Hmm.
steering clear of those, it's steering away from those, or maybe it's just having a conversation because sometimes people just don't realize that that's them. They don't even know that that's something that they're doing, but they're wondering why people don't want to hang out with them or don't want them to come to events or things like that. So it might just simply be a conversation at times of, hey, did you realize that this is going on, or did you realize that this is something that you do type situation.
And I love that you say that because sometimes we have to realize that it's not people, it's us sometimes. It's us sometimes. And it's all about the delivery or the tone of the person that's coming at you because you can't just come at people sideways and thinking that they're going to be receptive of what you're trying to tell them. But because you just never know what people have gone through, what they're currently going through, or what they are about to face when they leave from that environment that you're in. So we have to have grace, we have to give it to ourselves, and we have to give it to other people for the sake of being a concerned human. That you see what I did? You
Mhm.
see what I just did?
Exactly. Exactly. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. Exactly. People don't realize you can make a comment, you can make a statement, you can point out somebody's amazing, feat that they've done or just amazing accomplishment, and you are simply just a concerned human. But people, don't always see it as it being a concern. Some people see it as you hating on them or you trying to bring them down or you trying to, be jealous. And I'm here to say that that's not always the case. I'm just a
Yeah,
concerned human pointing out the good things and the bad things that you've done and making you aware of both. Like, hey, congratulations, that is a big win for you. Let me celebrate you as a concerned human. Or you know what? Have you ever processed and thought about it this way as a concerned human? Like, it's not to bring in any negative light or have you think that this person or another person is trying to treat you anyway. It's just genuinely a concern of who you are as a human being.
absolutely. And we have to understand and accept that not everybody is out to get us. There are some genuinely nice people in this world that want you to vibrate high because they have done the work to be on that level. Because it ain't
But,
always been easy. Trust me. I had to go through my healing journey and recognize my flaws and take that constructive criticism. And sometimes I still like look at it like, dang, was I that bad? Yeah, you were.
mm-hmm.
And I can acknowledge that and accept it, adjust, and move on. And that's
Yep.
what we have to do, especially when we're elevating our mindset. And so let's talk about personal growth and all this go hands in hands. But what is something that you do daily that helps develop yourself on a personal level?
Just recognize and acknowledge my faults and my flaws. When I can recognize them for myself, then when someone else points them out, or when I step into a situation where they can be at the forefront, it's not as awkward, it's not as uncomfortable. It's something that I can head on, challenge myself to overcome each time. Because each time it is different. You can completely understand and recognize your triggers and your flaws, but depending on the situation you're in, you're going to attack them and you're going to address them differently. So first of all, just recognizing them, and they could change and they can evolve. Something that used to be a trigger might not be a trigger anymore because you've done that work to basically understand what it was. So
Mhm.
for me personally, it's just recognizing what are those flaws, what is evolved, what have I overcome, so that when I am walking out into the world and into the public, hey, I know what it is, but I can make sure that head on I'm having those intentional conversations, those uncomfortable conversations, because I already understand the type of individual that essentially I am.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that. So that brings us to, you just did a thing. And I'm gonna let you share what you did because this is the reason why we're here. Tell the people what you just did. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. Thanks for allowing me to be a part of the journey with you. So tell the people what you just did, girl.
Well, I have released a, some people like to say a manifestation journal. I like to call it a self care check-in journal. As part of that self work, as we've been talking about over here, recognizing what it is that helps you get through and helps you get over. And sometimes it's just writing that down. Sometimes it's, just realizing what it is. And if you realize that there's a pattern because you've intentionally took time to overcome it or even intentionally took time to write it down each day, then you can go back, you can reflect on that growth, you can reflect on what it is that you need to change. So, in helping myself through a self journey, it was, hey, what is it that I wasn't able to find in a book? or a magazine or a piece of paper that I felt like I needed to look at personally every day. Anything that we want to make a habit or make a change, it takes about 21 days to do that. So in a 30-day journal, which is what I took the time, you've given yourself the 21 days to create that habit, but you've also given yourself time to execute that habit and make it become a change. You know what I mean? So now it's no longer just a habit, it's part of your everyday life, and it becomes, like I said, manifesting new mindsets and just making those habits that you want to be habits, turning them into changes. You can't, make a change if you don't recognize it first. So that's part of the check-in of the self-care, is actually checking in and realizing that, hey, this is a habit that I have. And do I want this habit to be a change, or do I want this habit to be a characteristic?
Oh.
Because at some time it shifts. And sometimes we don't even realize that our flaws or our habits are now characteristics that we carry along with us. So just myself trying to recognize that this is what I felt that needed to be done. And like I said, a lot of my friends know me as a concerned human, as we spoke of, just genuinely concerned for a person. So I just kind of entered personal quotes, personal things that I have helped others with.
Mm-hmm.
So each day you get a personal quote, you get something to kind of help you reflect on, but you also get check-ins, you get manifestations, you get tasks that you can kind of complete for yourself. Definitely.
Love it. I love that. Oh my goodness. Congratulations. Congratulations. So I know that you said it was kind of inspired by the things that you wish you had or that you couldn't find in certain things like that. So because I know it's a manifestation for new minds and a new mindset and creating habits and change and things like that, but you said something that piqued my interest about the self-care. What how would you describe those two words, self-care? Because self-care to me and self-love are different things. Although they go together, they are totally different. So how would you define self-care?
Self-care to me is just self-awareness. I laugh, and I think I even had a conversation the other day, or even posted the other day. People say that they want to self-care and they want to take a self-care day, but they sit in bed and they eat potato chips all day. To them, maybe that is their self-care. It's just self-aware of, hey, I'm okay with not doing nothing today because I am so busy that I just want to take my day to eat potato chips. I'm not worried about the consequences. I'm not worried about how it may react or do anything, but this is self care to me because I have taken a chance on myself to just be with myself. So to me, self care is just self awareness. You know what I mean? Whatever that means to you. Some people it's a spa day because that rejuvenates them. Sometimes it's just sitting in a dark room and recharging because that takes care of you as a person. So for me, that's the whole point behind the journal, is just find what self care is to you, and that's not a specific thing that you can write down a definition for each
Mhm.
person, because it's going to evolve over time for you as an individual, but it's also going to be different for you as an individual. So self-care, self-love, definitely I agree on that it's two totally different things when you look at it from, an individual perspective.
Right. And I believe that you have to have that self-love in order to practice self-care. It don't work any other way for me with personal
Correct.
experience, because once upon a time I didn't practice self-care because I didn't really love myself, so I allowed other people to love on me, and I realized that I was getting shit on because they was loving on me from a bad perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody looking on the outside was like, you deserve better than that, but I couldn't agree because I didn't think I did.
Right.
So it
I think
wasn't
that's
until I got, yeah,
mm-hmm.
it wasn't until I got to the point of saying, you know what, you deserve better. Let me
Mm-hmm.
start loving on myself. And then that produced that self-care. And my self-care is like, I like chocolate chip cookies. So I give me a chocolate chip cookie and binge watch on Netflix. That is part of my self-care. I
Mm-hmm.
also like to read. So that is a part of my self-care as well. So self-care can be a different, like you said, it's different and evolves. It should evolve. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, every time you practice self-care and you sitting down eating chocolate chip cookies, then no, that becomes something
Exactly.
totally different.
Exactly. No, I completely agree. And I think the self love goes even further than what you push it, because I think people give us love based upon how we allow them sometimes. And people give self love based upon how they feel like we need it. So if you can't love yourself and you have not established the boundaries or the kind of stipulations of how you want to be loved and how you feel like you should be loved, then the person that is providing love for you is going to go on the boundaries that they feel like you need. And what you need may not be what you actually need. You know what I mean? A need and a want is two totally different things. So wanting
Mhm.
someone to love you, sometimes you overlook those things that you actually need in that process of that self love. So recognizing how you want and what boundaries you have for yourself in that process of love will definitely bring on new people, new things that you didn't even know that you could get out of someone through the whole love process. And that, can contribute to that self care process as well, because now you afforded yourself the ability and the space to have more self care. So now you've graduated from those cookies in the bed to, you know what, I can take myself out on a lunch date because I don't have to be constrained to this. So, it's evolved part of that process because kind of giving yourself the boundaries of that self love.
Absolutely. And we are here to change, grow, and evolve. And those words mean the same thing, but there are different levels to it. So you have to be open for the change at first, and then notice that your change is making you grow or causing you to grow. And then at some point you're gonna realize, dang, I like this person. You've
Mm-hmm.
evolved into a better version of yourself.
Yep.
And it's okay to lose people along the way, because not everybody can come on your personal journey of self-love or evolution or whatever. Not saying that you don't love these people, not saying that these people didn't mean something to you or didn't pour into you in a certain way at once upon a time. It's just sometimes we outgrow each other, and that's not a problem. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is if you're growing and they're staying the same, but you dumbing yourself down to match that energy, knowing that you're not in that place anymore. And I think that a lot of us do that for fear of losing someone, being alone, or history that we have with someone. So let's talk about being able to recognize that you are outgrowing certain people, places, and things, and being okay to leave those things behind without feeling guilty about it.
You definitely. I think I have I don't know the exact quote, but I have a quote in the journal that basically says that you can't go to an elevation being treated the same way you were in the past. You know what I mean? Being held to the same standard that you were being held to is not going to get you to the place that you're trying to go to. So I definitely believe that you have to recognize where you want to go and what it takes, and what you deserve once you get there. And then once you're able to do that, you can kind of surround yourself with people who want to get to that same end goal, the same like-minded goal. You know what I mean? You can't I understand that you can be friends with someone for 20 plus years, but they might be okay with just the same routine that you've been in for those 20 plus years. But you
Right.
can't elevate with them still sticking you in that same box that you've been in 20 years. It's
Mhm.
definitely part of the evolution of the growth. And I think that's the main thing with the making habits changes is the growth piece of it. You know what I mean? Sometimes growth means growing into something new. Sometimes
Mhm.
growth means growing out of something that you don't need to be into. And if you can't recognize the difference between the two, then it's gonna always leave you in one spot because you don't know, are you growing into something or are you growing out of something? You're still just doing the same habit over and over, and now it still hasn't become a change. It's still the same, the same habit.
Listen, y'all, go back and rewind that. She just dropped. Those were bars, like for real. Oh my God. I get excited when I hear stuff, and I'm like, I'm trying to contain myself,
Understand.
but I'm
Hey,
like, yes, yeah,
I get
right.
it.
So I love it. We have to be intentional with the things that we absorb, mind, body, and spirit. That comes with a lot of loss. Not
Mhm,
to the point where you can't see these people anymore, not to the point where, y'all's paths will not, may not cross again or whatever. It's just that sometimes you have to be selfish with yourself.
mhm,
Put yourself first because you see the end goal. You
mhm,
want what you're building, you want what's best for you. It's a lifestyle change. I don't like who I was when I was hanging out in this particular place. So I can't go back to that place. It has too many bad memories, and I'm not there anymore. And it's okay to move forward. We're not supposed to
mhm.
go back, except to see how far we've come.
Right.
That's
Mhm.
that's what I believe.
Agree. I
So
think some of that self care is realizing that you don't need to be around certain people sometimes, and that's sometimes the most challenging part for people in the self portion of it is being selfish because you have to be selfish enough to say, you know what, it's not that I don't love you, it's not that I don't care about you, it's not that I don't value everything that we have been through, but at this point of my life, I have to be selfish and I have to move forward in that growth. I can't, neglect my self care and not be selfish selfish, selfless. It's two totally different things. So if you're
Right.
selfish enough to continue to let that thing or that situation continue to happen and evolve into a bigger situation, then you will never get the courage to be selfish enough to take care of yourself. So it's definitely part of the self care that we don't ever touch on or ever even think about in regards to
Right.
that.
And I think that's the most important part because a lot of people get told that, oh, you're acting funny or you're being different or you think you better than everybody. No, I just didn't like who I was when I was doing this with you. So I'm making a change. You could come on
Hmm.
up here if you want to, but I'm not going to force you to do anything.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And why do you think that people take everything so personally when other people start to elevate? And they want them to stay stuck where they are. Why do you feel like that's the first thing that they come that jumps to their mind, oh, you just being funny or you weren't really my friend or you didn't really love me or whatever.
I think it's part of that selfish, selfless thing. People look at it as this person's leaving me. This person is not trying to take me along with it. When you're on an even keel of someone, same thing. Whether it's a friend, family, relationship, even a job situation. It could be, for those athletes on a playing field. When you're on an equal playing field of any of those situations, people are okay because they don't feel threatened. They don't feel like you're in any other power other than what they have because you're on an equal playing field, whether it's the same position at jobs, whether it's the same position in school or, anything like that. Relationship, you all are equal, type thing. But when you elevate yourself or even it doesn't even have to be elevate yourself physically or mentally. It can be elevate yourself in the way that you are moving, as in, you know what? I'm gonna go to sleep every day at 9 o'clock instead of staying up till midnight. To them, it's the simplest thing of this doesn't make any sense because I'm so used to being able to call you at midnight. Well, I
Mhm.
understand that, but at this point, I need to make sure that I'm doing this. So now that you're moving differently, it's a intimidation. It's a okay. Well, how were they able to shift, but I wasn't able to shift? How were they able to do this and I wasn't able to do this? So now they start self-reflecting and kind of self-beating themselves up, and that's part of that self-work of when you recognize who you are and where you want to be, then you can't see what someone else is doing as intimidation. You can see it as motivation because it's, hey, they did this. They took the courage to step out and do this, and I've seen the results. Now, what if I take the courage and do something myself? Maybe not necessarily the same thing, but do something that's going to help me. How is it going to elevate me? So you're going to see it as a motivation as opposed to an intimidation, and it's going to help you kind of move forward. So I think that people don't automatically see things as motivation. They see it as a, why me or why not me type situations instead of
Mhm.
a, you know what, you did it, I can do it too. Let me go ahead and challenge you. Maybe I can do it more than you can. So now it's going to bring on a healthy competition to where you're all elevating and you're all, on a whole different level together as opposed to at each other's throats type situation.
Exactly. Exactly. And if more people looked at it from that perspective, do you know how far along certain relationships, friendships, jobs, or whatever would be? It would just be amazing. Unfortunately, not everybody is on that same mindset, but
Nope.
we're trying to get people there. You know, this concerned human thing. Let's jump back into that that particular concerned human. Like we touched on it a little bit because you was jumping the gun. You got all in my notes, and she ain't see the notes, y'all. She didn't see the notes. So let's give a little bit more details into what does being a concerned human look like.
A concerned human to me is just saying those things sometimes that people are thinking and are afraid to say out loud. And it can be in any situation. You know what I mean? It can be in a room full of people and there's two awkward individuals that don't know how to start a conversation. You're okay with being that bridge for that conversation. It can be a random thought that is kind of one of those risque thoughts of, oh my gosh, you wouldn't normally say that. But somebody needed you to say that because that's the exact thing they needed to hear to get them out of whatever mind frame or whatever process they were going through.
Mhm,
Kind of that aha moment of that people get sometimes, but you
mhm,
only get it internally. You only get it when you're kind of reflecting. I see it as an opportunity to say it out loud. So some of the things that I might say, some people find controversial. Um, but there's also those same things that I have 10 people that are like, you know what, this one right here, like that's I needed to hear that. Somebody needed
mhm,
to say that. Somebody needs to, and it's a lot easier sometimes for people to communicate through something else or some other atmosphere or avenue. You know how people say the music speaks when you can't speak. kind of the same concept. You know, if you see a tweet or you see a post, a lot of people are easier to repost it because that's how they're feeling, as opposed to feeling the guilt or feeling like, okay, this came for me. Now somebody feels like I'm attacking them, or they feel like it's just for them. No, I
Mm-hmm.
understand where this person has come from. It's a lot easier for me to hit retweet or me to hit repost than it is for me to actually sit there and type it myself and say, this is how I'm feeling or this is how I'm saying. So for me, the concerned human is simply just a general concern of what people's thoughts, feelings, and motives are, and just kind of calling people out on it and putting it on the forefront and kind of being that bridge and that outlet for people to not have a blame on themselves. I guess you could say, this is something I said, but no, this is something she said, like type situation.
Right. Like I'll take it. I'll take the blame. You can blame it on me. I'll be that
Exactly.
concerned human. Although you was thinking the same thing, I just took the courage to put it out there and not worry about who don't like it.
Exactly. And that's
Mhm.
exactly how it is.
Exactly. I love it though. I love this. So tell the people how they can get one of the journals.
It is available on Amazon if you search Captivator Wilson on Amazon.com. Now there is two separate sizes because it is simple enough for if you have a teenager that's kind of going through this self-awareness, trying to find themselves type situation. I made it in a bigger kind of notebook size just simply because it's easier for them to kind of carry it around, those 13, 14, 15-year olds. But I also have a pocket size that is available for the adults. If you are that person that does a lot of traveling, a lot of flying, a lot of journaling, and you just want something to slip in your purse, slip in your overnight bag to where you're thinking about something and you need to pull it out and write, it's available as well. But it's on Amazon, Captivator Wilson, or you can actually search the name, which is right here, and it will pop up either way. But definitely, if you need something to start, you don't know where to start, you're confused, you're lost, you're kind of in that gray area, I suggest you pick it up because it is definitely a great motivation and a starting tool to just get you to wherever you are trying to go to.
I love it. I love it. And all of this information will be in the show notes, guys. So you will be able to get the link and not have an excuse. Like if you are tired of making excuses and you're ready to really elevate yourself, mind, body, and spirit, stop putting it off. Like buy the books that's going to challenge you, buy the journals that's going to make you tap into that self awareness and hold yourself accountable for the things that you are blaming other people for. I'm a firm believer that when you go on your healing journey, it's up to us to work things out. Yeah, we may have had problems with our parents, but we can't fault them for our lives all the time. At some point, we have to take that accountability and say, you know what? I'm tired of feeling sorry for myself. I'm tired of blaming other people. I'm in control and in charge of my life and how it's going to go. So let me do the work. It's hard. Trust me. I've been there. Tina has been there. It is hard. It's not meant to be easy because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. It just takes certain individuals that are tired of being in that box or being miserable that say, hey, I want something different. Let's get it.
Exactly.
Yes. So, on a personal note, and I like to ask this question to all of my guests, what would your now self tell your younger self about the importance of being a concerned human?
It's gonna be okay. It's that simple. It's going to be okay. Sometimes we just, as individuals, need someone to let us know that your actions, your words, your reactions, it's going to be okay. Because at the end of the day, people are going to have their opinions, and as long as your opinion of yourself is greater than what they have to say, then it's gonna be okay.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So before we get on out of here, are there any words of encouragement, words of motivation, or anything that you would like to leave the listeners to today?
Um, Other than this gonna be okay, just like I said, elevate yourself. Take the time to spend on you. We as people are easier influenced to spend time on others, spend money on others, focus on others. Take 2024 to be intentional and focus, invest on yourself and see where it takes you, see where it elevates you. You've seen the results of you investing and taking time in others and where they end up. So do it for yourself so that you can elevate yourself.
Absolutely. Look, I don't have nothing else to say. This has been a great conversation. Tina, thank you so much for coming to kick it with me today. It has been a pleasure. I tell everybody, like, each episode gets better and better. So you're my new favorite episode. And I've done over 100 and something episodes. I think that the conversations get more in depth and people are
Mhm.
comfortable with talking. And so we get into the conversation that's actually comfortable for us because we've done the work. So it's just a conversation that needs to be had and somebody is listening. Hopefully it's something that we say has resonated with you guys. Go on to Amazon and make sure y'all get this journal. I promise you it will change your life for the better. No more excuses. 2024, make it all about you being selfish to make sure that you're the best version of yourself that you possibly can. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am back with another episode every Thursday at noon Central Standard Time. All major streaming platforms for podcasts, also on Audible and YouTube. So make sure you tap in, follow, share, subscribe, tell some people so that we can keep these conversations going because the overall theme is about mindset and personal development, but we are here to change the narrative in our culture, our consciousness, and our community. And if we keep having conversations like these, it will become normal. And so those conversations get trickled down from generation to generation. And those hard conversations are the conversations we thought that were hard. They become just normal conversations. Like we have to be able to communicate effectively and be able to comprehend what each other are saying. So it's time out for that. Oh, I don't like to talk. Oh, I grew up. I wasn't supposed to say nothing. Kids are supposed to be seen and not heard. No, we breaking that cycle. Okay. So with that being said, you guys have an amazing day. Thank you for tuning in. Purple hugs. Later.